allow it. Wonderful. If you do not wish your image to be shown, I will be putting it, Brittany, I should pin you. That way there shouldn't be an issue. So I'll pin, there we go. So that nobody else's image is shown. There we go. So welcome to Do It in Durham. This is Durham's celebration of entrepreneurship, and it is held each November during Global Entrepreneurship Week. Do It in Durham Entrepreneurship Week is a collaboration of Durham's business support, educational, and networking organizations who have come together to encourage and support entrepreneurs, job creators, and innovators like you who create economic growth in the Durham region. If you're looking to start a business, invest in a business, grow a business, we encourage you to do it in Durham, the Durham region. Thank you to our amazing sponsors. Without their support and contributions, we could not host this week. Our premier sponsors are BACD, the Oshawa, the City of Oshawa Economic Development Services. Partner sponsors is Whitby. In partnership, we've got Whitby, Town of Whitby, Ajax Advantage, Invest Clarington, Invest Durham, and we have presented in partnership with the Federal Economic Development Agency of Southern Ontario. So yes, thank you for showing that. I'm like, okay, there's a page where it shows them all there. Community sponsors, Ontario Tech, Brilliant Catalyst, Invest Pickering, Spark Center, Durham College, Fast Start. Feel free, we encourage and invite each of you to feel free to share your experiences to help us raise awareness and visibility that you are open for business and the Durham region has a thriving business community. So if you like, I'll put them in the chat box, but I'm trying not to do that too often to just, to take away from what Brittany has to share with us. But just a couple of them, if you want to note them down, hashtag Do It in Durham, hashtag Do It in Durham 2024, hashtag GEW 2024. The GEW stands for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And I will put some others in the chat box so you can copy and paste that. So anytime you're posting about it, we ask you to please share them. Subscribe to the BACD YouTube channel to receive a notification when videos are uploaded. Brittany has kindly agreed that we can record this one, so it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. And you can check out the ones we already have there. So again, I'll put that link in the chat box. My name is Patrice Esper. I'm a business advisor and program coordinator at the BACD, and I will be facilitating the session and monitoring the chat box. Brittany, do you prefer that they put questions in the chat box or ask as they go along or as you go along?
It's completely, I'm open to either way. There are some checkpoints too where I offer some time to ask some questions in between too. So if they're in the chat, that's great. We can address them then or as we go. I'm flexible.
Perfect. So we're now encouraging you to network in the chat. Take a few moments to quickly share who you are, the name of your company, or what is the business that you're in. And remember to add your contact details or a website so that people can learn more about you after the presentation. And save the chat. So you can actually save this chat. If you've never done that, there's 3 little buttons and you can just click on it and it'll give you the option on how to save the chat. And we do encourage you to turn your cameras on for a more engaging experience. If you like, that gives Brittany some feedback too. So welcome everyone, and thank you, Brittany. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrice, for the introduction there. So today we're going to talk all about mastering some of your business stress and some of the techniques that will help you move from feeling burned out or in a stressful state to more balanced. We're going to get right into all the techniques to help you live a more balanced life, basically, and stress-free day-to-day as an entrepreneur. This is often something that we neglect because we're often in that mode of being the jack of all trades in our business. We wear many hats. And the thing that falls to the wayside is often our mental state, emotional health, ensuring that we aren't living in this constant fight or flight mode. So with that being said, we're going to get right into it with an initial activity. So I want to first share my intention, but also my personal mission going into this presentation with all of you. And that is, I want to really empower you to nurture your massive goals that you have to close out in 2024 help you feel really good moving into the remainder of the year or the last month of it, motivated, but also like you can take some time to rest and ensure that you have practices that help support you in 2025, right? Through any stressful situations while sustaining that balance and ease without that burnout. So we want to be able to learn and use the tactics and strategies to support our mental health and well-being, decision-making skills, emotional states, building on those non-negotiable rituals for ourselves to help us thrive. So we're going to get started. And if you have a piece of paper or you're just on your laptop, you can kind of write these down here. But as I said, it's very easy for us as entrepreneurs to put ourselves in positions where we're constantly giving, we're overworking, over conceptualizing, overcompensating, even letting our boundaries be crossed in order to, satisfy and please other people. But that's at the risk of, our own health. So to combat this and better support our minds and bodies, we need to be willing to be proactive versus reactive. So with that being said, I'd love for you to think of 3 words right now that align with the definition of intention that I'm about to give you. And 3 words that you would love to take into the month of December, but also the remainder of the year, as we're approaching that right now, but into 2025 as well. So into the month of January onwards. And so to me, my definition of an intention is a self-reflective tool. Helps us, show up in areas of our lives that are aligned with our values and our potential. And unlike a goal, it seeks no time frame, but is rather designed to be very expansive, and it doesn't set you up for failure or to feel like a failure. So we want these words and intentions to really help us feel like purposeful and powerful, inspired. And so to help you come up with some of those words, I want you to think of these questions, okay? And you can just note these words, any words that come to mind right now as you think of these questions or as you hear me say these. So the first one is, what matters to you most? And I'm just going to check the chat here too. Oh, introductions, amazing. What are your strengths? What do you want to let go of? What are you working on mastering in your business? What words align with you right now? And how do you want to feel? And if you want, you can drop some of those in the chat if there's any that have come up for you. I know some of the words for myself look like, balance and action, relaxation, consistency. So feel free to drop them in the chat for inspiration for others as well. Health, peace, success, consistency. I love that. Okay. So that was just initial activity, kind of get you guys warmed up in terms of thinking about what your intentions are for the rest of the year. And also knowing that if we want to leave a state of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, we also need to be intentional in what we're putting forth for our future intentions, right? So this is just getting that ball rolling. I see freedom, planning, growth, amazing. Empowerment, flexibility, and goal achievement. Love these. Amazing. I'm going to save this chat later so that I have these words as inspiration for myself too. Okay, so just moving on to the agenda. Today we're going to cover what is stress exactly, good stress versus bad stress, because there are actually elements of stress that exist that are good, that help us maintain motivation, whereas there's some elements that are not so great for our health. Stress versus burnout, there is a difference. We're going to go through 5 strategies to neutralize stress and burnout. And then we're going to go through a EFT tapping embodiment ritual. So something that is going to support you and something you can use at any time for any issue that you have or any resistance that you have that's coming up in your body through emotions. We're going to go through that as well. So talking about stress, let's get right into it. So when we encounter stressors, which can be physical, emotional, psychological, our body becomes activated, or our nervous system actually becomes upregulated. And so, meaning there's a series of reactions that are happening in our body known as the stress response. And this is what we call our fight or flight response within our nervous system. It's the body's reaction to external pressures or threats. Now, there are actually two systems that make up our nervous system, and getting a little scientific here for you guys, just so you can understand exactly what's happening in your body as you're experiencing a stressful situation. We have two systems. So we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our peace, rest, and digest system. And to remember this, I always think of just parasympathetic, peace. And then we have sympathetic nervous system. So is our stress system, fight or flight state. Within our parasympathetic, we release hormones that actually slow the system down. It allows you to bring your heart rate down, your breathing is slower, and this is the ideal in situations that we want to be able to move towards when we are feeling a little bit overwhelmed in our business, at home, and in order to ease that balance. With the sympathetic response, which is our stress response, we release hormones like adrenaline, cortisol. This prepares the body to either confront a stressor or flee from it. So those are just the two systems that make up your nervous system, and I'm going to be referring to the nervous system later on, so I just wanted to mention that here. Now, with good stress versus bad stress, we want to take a look at our performance and what we're doing in contrast with the amount of stress that we're actually experiencing. So stress is something we do need to experience, right? And there's good versus bad. Now, minimal stress can set in when we are feeling a little bit bored or we aren't feeling challenged in what we're doing in our day-to-day. So think of almost like, in a job where it's very routine, perhaps you're doing the same thing over and over. This might lead to a feeling a little bit laid back or inactive, maybe a bit of fatigue. You may feel like you're lacking that meaning or purpose. And obviously for many of us in business and in entrepreneurship, we started our business because perhaps that's how we felt initially in our 9-to-5s, or where we were coming from, or we were really passionate. We felt purposeful doing something that led to our value system, right? So then we're actually taking a look at the next one here, which is optimal stress. So we want to maintain in our business optimal stress levels, which is that extra push that you need to hit, those deadlines or achieve the goals or hit the ROI or whatever it is, but they are moderate levels, right? Where they can be considered motivational, performance enhancing, and offer a sense of clarity and alertness. So very well balanced and kind of, you're kind of riding that wave of feeling like you have everything under control. You're still being challenged as well. And then we have the high stress situation. So of course we can't help this. Sometimes we do get in these predicaments or we feel like, there's so much on our plate. We're feeling exhausted, anxious, panic, perhaps on the verge of burnout. And this is basically the stage right before burnout and is considered an overload, right? So this can look like taking on multiple projects, working really late, trying to balance your home and work life, being very disorganized, chaotic, that monkey mind, not feeling like you can really focus that well. And so we want to try to avoid this. However, it happens, right? Which is why we're here today talking about ways to manage stress, because it is inevitable, unfortunately. I'm just going to take a moment. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've shared so far, or any aha moments, or anything that want to drop in the chat or come off mute to say? No? Feeling good? And just chat here. Okay, we're doing good. Okay, so let's move into, and feel free to drop any questions in the chat as we go. No worries, I can stop and answer them. So stress. So stress is basically feeling like things are too much, at this point. There's a feeling of overwhelm. You might feel anxious. You might feel like you're ready to tap out. There's a lot going on. And it often comes in a bodily response as well. We feel it in our body. We feel it in the way that we're feeling. Emotion-wise, we may not be able to feel like we're in a regulated state. Now, on the opposite spectrum, or kind of close to it, past that point is burnout, right? So burnout is feeling like you have like nothing left to give. It's an accumulation of unchecked and unbuilt stress. Built up stress over time. So burnout can look like disengagement, disengaging from your routines and even your work, right? You're not feeling motivated. You don't want to do it anymore. You feel blunted, distant emotions. You feel helplessness or even feelings of like depression. It's emotionally taxing. It's feeling like it's way too much for you to handle and you need to completely remove yourself from a situation. So moving on from that, I would love to take a moment just to do a kind of Q&A reflection checkpoint, and then we can have some conversation in terms of what's keeping you up at night. So I would love to hear from you guys in terms of in terms of the stress factor, how you're feeling right now. What keeps you up at night? Do you feel balanced, or could there be room for improvement? And if you want kind of to drop what in the chat, what helps you mitigate your stress right now? What do you do currently? Are you organizing, planning? Do you set timelines for yourself? Do you have good communication with your team, for example, setting quarterly goals or intentions? What really supports you in managing any stress that's coming up in your business and in your personal life as well? Okay, Becca says structured time management. Yes, definitely. Yeah, structuring your time, making sure that you kind of have your non-negotiable time for work and play. Mini getaway to look forward to. Yeah, planning things that you have to look forward to that are exciting, right? It motivates you to get your work done before that weekend comes. Following a schedule and ensuring there's time for self-care built in. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Yoga and meditation. Yes. Amazing. Yeah, and we'll talk about a little bit about meditation as one of the techniques as well later on. Anyone else like to share? Anyone want to come off mute and share anything? Meeting discharge deadlines from hospital this time of year is challenging. Yes. Taking time for exercise, walks in nature, time with friends helps with the balance as well as eating healthier. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Sometimes we, especially when we're working day to day and we're just like, we're in it, we sometimes forget that like we need to eat, we need to take a deep breath, we need to walk outside, go for just for a quick walk can change your entire bodily state and put you in a better mood. Even starting the morning with a specific ritual that helps you, or like a non-negotiable routine that really helps you get recharged, that's really important. So all of these things are amazing. Rom-coms, especially the holiday season. Love that, Patrice. Yes, absolutely. Have to take care of yourself and give yourself something to look forward to and have fun with. Amazing. Okay. Yeah. And I would just say that, being flexible to change, the most successful people are those who can navigate change in their environment without letting it completely shift their entire state, right? So something happens, there's a stressful event, or, there's things that are happening at home while you have deadlines for work. And it's just managing that time that you have, but also your mental state to ensure that fog or any of that, like that sympathetic state that you're going to go in with fight or flight is less accessible if you're able to kind of move into a new routine or bring something to the forefront that usually supports your health and wellness. Becca, I'd be happy to share a story where I learned how stress can impact your medical health and how I have learned to grow from this experience and make adjustments for it. Yeah, sure, Becca, if you want to come on, we have a couple minutes if you.
Hello. So my name is Becca. I'm part of actually Patrice's startup company Plus cohort for September. But throughout the pandemic, I run a beauty business. So I was not working throughout the pandemic, and I am such a planner. I'm a perfectionist. I'm organized. So the pandemic really got to me. When I was not working, I had nothing to do. There was nothing I could do. In the first year, I actually gained a lot of weight because I was essentially, eating my feelings. And then I just kind of stopped eating. Nothing made me hungry. I was so stressed out. I was constantly living in fight or flight, having panic attacks. And that went on for quite a period of time. And then in December of 2021, I started having seizures in my sleep. And my 5-year-old at the time, my 5-year-old daughter, she actually saved my life. And we'd never even had a conversation about what to do if anything was to ever happen to me. So I learned the hard way how stress can manifest in so many different ways. There were so many warning signs for me as far as the anxiety and the panic and the weight loss. And when I lost, I think 20 pounds in probably 3 weeks, it was insane and so unhealthy. But now I'm on track to just being so much better by dealing with my stress. I've learned that stress is just something that you have to deal with right away, make a plan and stick to that plan. All you can do is make a plan. And it. So since then, I lost my license for a bit. I've had my license back now for a year. I'll be 2 years seizure free in December of this year. But that is kind of my story with stress and how I've learned to just manage it, I guess, better.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is a lot. And I'm glad you're in a really good space now, and getting better and recovering and feeling good. But yeah, I absolutely agree. It does show up for many of us in our body, right, in different ways. And usually we're ignoring it because we just feel like it's something we can handle or we can move through. But the importance of this, like, also just sharing a little bit even about my story. I was sick. I have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune disease. And that basically started my whole journey with the health and wellness and just being so passionate about valuing that aspect and making sure that that is good before anything else as well, because your businesses won't exist. You won't exist and you won't have the success and be able to thrive with your family and your friends and everything if you're not in a good state, right? So your body is definitely something that it keeps the score for sure. If you haven't read that book, that's a great book as well. Your body keeps the score. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Becca. It is so important to get these routines and rituals in place so that you aren't feeling alone. You feel like you have something to go towards that will help you move through it. And then it doesn't get to that point again where you're burning out, you're ending up in a health crisis, and moving forward from that, right? So appreciate you sharing that. Anybody else like to share anything before we move forward here?
I can, Brittany, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really quickly, mine was, so again, being a business owner for how many years? It was my very first business, no, second business, but it was the one that I was doing pretty much a lot of our clients starting out as sole proprietors. So I was a sole proprietor in this first instance. And I remember every year for the first 3 years, by the end of the year, October, November, I was in hospital. And it wasn't until I recognized, I put in that mini vacation, something to look forward to, because it clicked on me, the same amount of money that it cost me to be in hospital, I could actually book a trip. And so that changed everything. So instead of my body reacting to it, it got excited because I started planning my holidays in October. So I was like, it's okay, we don't have to be sick. We're going to go on holiday. So it's something to look forward to. But yeah, great points. And thanks for sharing your story, Becca.
That's amazing. Yeah, you have to have something to look forward to. And when you feel that that inclination of like that lack of creativity and motivation too in your job or your business or wherever it may be, that's when you kind of need to take a step back and do something for yourself. So it's important to put those fun trips in as well. Perfect. So we're going to get into the 5 strategies that I have here to help support all of us in your day-to-day. Now, you'll recognize that none of these are groundbreaking strategies. They're not rocket science, but you likely engage in some of these currently, or maybe you have before. But what's important here is that these they come to the forefront of your mind when you're managing your stress and overwhelm and any resistance that's coming up for you in the next little while after hearing this presentation. So just by helping break down the benefits and how easy they can be to maintain, I really hope this serves as an opportunity for you to use them more frequently and as a tactic to move from that highly stressed state that you potentially could be in to a more neutral state, so that burnout, is never something that you have to experience either for the first time or ever again. And so that there's an element of routine and fun and balance in your life and your business. So the first one is, and somebody mentioned this before, is meditation and breathing. So when I actually left my 9 to 5, I started on my meditation journey, which was in 2018. Or actually, it was right before I left my 9 to 5, actually, because I was commuting downtown Toronto for work every day. And I decided to use the commute, morning commute and the evening commute, to kind of shut off my mind from all that hustle and bustle and just meditate for, 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening on my commute, train ride home. It was extremely beneficial. It ended up, moving me from 5 minutes to 20 minutes to where I looked forward to, getting on the train, having everybody like hustling, bustling around me, just sitting down and actually just listening to that meditation, guided meditation every single day. And it got my body to retrain into being in a more calmer state by the time I got home, which was great. For my partner at the time, because I was stressed out coming home, but also just for my, my own mental health and well-being. So we know that according to many studies, actually just 20 minutes, even 5 minutes a day can actually help have a measurable effect on our brain and help with focus, productivity, less anxiety. And deep breathing impacts the vagus nerve. So I'm going to get a little scientific again, but our vagus nerve is our longest cranial nerve. It goes from the back of our neck into our stomach. So when we feel, that, when we feel excitement or anxiety or anything like that, we often feel it in our head space, but also in our stomach, right? And so that is the sympathetic or parasympathetic nervous system being activated through that vagus nerve. Now, when we deep breathe, this is activating the vagus nerve. It's sending a calming effect, activating your peace, rest, and digestive system, and alerting your body that it's actually safe to downregulate at the time. So, of course, meditation can be found, anywhere online, Spotify, YouTube. I also want to mention that there's a free application called Balance. It's actually free for a whole year. That is one that I used in the very beginning to try to just get into the habit and the routine of doing a challenge kind of every day, listening to a meditation and also working on my breathing. So really, it's just activating, again, your parasympathetic nervous system through breathing and meditation, and helping support you moving from these disengaging negative thoughts that we have sometimes. The other thing that I want to mention, so with breathing, so I actually am a practitioner in clinical breath work as well. And one of the most important things, just a small piece of tidbit of information for you, is when you are doing deep breathing, ensure that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So if you can inhale for like 4 breaths at a time, hold for 4, and then exhale for 5 or 6 seconds, that is the ideal. We're just trying to find your marigold frequency, where your your exhale is longer, and this helps activate your vagus nerve and your peace and rest and digest system. So just a tidbit of information when you are deep breathing, even when you're completely stressed out at your desk, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I'm just feeling so overwhelmed. Just taking a quick second to close your eyes, inhale for 4 and exhale for 6 will get you back to kind of a grounded state. If you do that for 2 or 3 minutes. Next up, thought catching and journaling. So a gratitude practice every morning is something that I do suggest. Things that you're just thankful for, you can say them out loud right when you wake up. Even 5 things that you are celebrating, helps to focus on that positive, optimistic element in your life, and it opposes the feelings of dread or stress. Just checking what is that? Thought catching. Yes. And there's a little activity with thought catching, so I'll explain that in just a second. So yeah, and it helps us in the morning and evening. If we set rituals, we're actually the most impressionable in the morning, right when we wake up, and in the evening before we go to bed. Our subconscious, it's like a sponge. So that's why they say, it's best not to be on your phone the first thing you pick up, scroll and that sort of thing. The best thing that you can do is actually just even think about your intentions for that morning or that day. think about what you're grateful for, starting the day off on that foot, so much better than leaning into something that's a little bit more negative or is going to influence your state of mind. So with thought catching, this is basically flipping the script on the thoughts that you're having. And this is basically an activity that you can use, do this weekly and then kind of read through after. But your mind basically believes whatever you tell it, right? So we often have thoughts that are coming up. You can throw some in the chat if there are like thoughts that you have on repeat often. The one I hear a lot, especially from business owners, is I'm not doing enough. So I've used that one here. What we want to do is write down the thought that keeps coming up for us. So I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not healthy enough, whatever it is that's coming up. And then we want to record how many times that's coming up. So what I do is I have a note in my phone. I write it down and then I just check off, like, or put like a check mark of how many times it's coming up. At the end of the week, like on a Friday when I wake up, or Friday even night or Thursday night, I'll go in and I will flip the script on that. So that means you are writing down this statement, even though I feel like blank, whatever it is, I'm not doing enough, I'm not healthy enough, I'm not eating well, I'm not doing enough in my business. I know that, or I am, or I have, and follow it with something that provides evidence that this isn't true. Okay. That will help you kind of flip things and constantly reframe. So it's constantly repatterning and rewiring your brain to flip the way that you're thinking. I've done this so much over the last 4 years that sometimes it's like my partner will be like, are you serious right now? Like, how are you like flipping that? Because then you start to do it with everything that you're hearing. Somebody cuts you off on the road, you're like, you know what, maybe they were in an emergency and maybe they had to get somewhere really quickly. Like, just let it go. Like, you can let things go a lot faster, but you can also reframe a lot faster, which is the important piece to keep your mental health and wellness in a good state. So for something like this, even though I feel like I'm not good enough, I know that I actively completed X, Y, and Z today or this week or this quarter, right? And we're going to read through those. This is a constant practice. It really needs to happen over and over for you to get used to this, right? So just keep it as a practice that you can go to whenever you feel like those negative thoughts are kind of spiraling, or you have a lot on your plate, you're feeling very heavy. This is the perfect activity to use for that. Any questions before we move? See a comment here. Sarah, love this, amazing. Yeah, and it's a really great one to use actually with children too. Get them started young on that reframing and flipping the script. Okay, so next one up is movement, exercise. Again, not rocket science, right? We know that getting movement, getting out of our environment, dancing, shaking, raising our heartbeat has the ability to change our mood, which is amazing and so easy to do. And we also know that cortisol, this is something that helps keep our negative mood in check in response to stress. So this is just a mood boosting neurotransmitter. When we're moving, when we're active, when we're outside, when we're getting sunlight, natural sun exposure, vitamin D, that is mood boosting as well. And again, we're entering a state of rest and digest, calm, and balance when we're able to support our body with these balanced production of hormones, blood cells, and then things like nature, listening to water, walking in a forest, breathing in fresh air. All of this helps calm our entire nervous system. Okay, the next one we don't want to forget about is the rest regimen. And your subconscious mind, like I said, is the most impressionable right before bed and immediately upon waking in the morning. So setting up a routine in the morning or evening ritual can help us get a better night's sleep. Turning down bright lights, creating a space that helps us feel calm and like nurtured. Darkness also activates melatonin, which helps our bodies prepare and our circadian rhythms to kind of balance with the sleep cycle. So we want to make sure we're not necessarily on our phones or watching TV or, doing things with bright lights, and that can help us sleep for a longer period of time, right? We also need, adults who sleep fewer than 7 to 8 hours a night actually report higher stress levels. I know that's sometimes difficult to get that full 7 to 8 hours, but if you can aim for that, that is ideal. What else did I need to mention here? Yeah, increase of REM sleep as well. So our brain waves, when we're in a deep REM sleep, our brain waves are actually mitigated on a calmer scale frequency, so to speak. So ensuring that you are getting enough rapid eye movement sleep, your brain waves are then able to go into this delta phase. Your muscles are completely relaxed, your blood pressure is dropping, your breathing slows, your progress into deep sleep happens a lot more efficiently and effectively. So this leads to better quality sleep, impaired memory, improved mood regulation. We all know how we are if we don't get enough sleep, right? We're not in the best of moods and not functioning and doing things to the best of our ability. Okay. And last but not least, and this one we're going to get into a little further with doing an exercise. So EFT tapping. Has anybody heard of EFT tapping before? You can drop it in the chat. Emotional freedom technique is what the full name is. Joy says, no, I haven't. Okay. Heard of it, but don't fully understand it. Yep. Okay, so we're gonna get into it today. I'm not gonna go too detailed into it, but enough that you will absolutely understand it. Yes, I've done it. Amazing. And you'll be able to put it into practice yourself. We'll also do a sequence together, so we'll be able to practice it. Yes, I've heard of it. Awesome. Okay. So yes, EFT tapping. So basically, it's a form of a form of acupressure. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're tapping on 8 to 10 parts of our body called meridians, while stating how we're feeling and how we want to feel or progress through any emotional state. So we have a bunch of different meridians here. Just going to go through them briefly. So you have your karate chop, which is right in your side of your hand. We have the top of the head, above the eyebrow, beside your eye or side eye, underneath your eye, underneath your nose, your chin, your collarbone, underneath your arm, like where your breastbone would be. And then there's also the wrist. If you can't reach your breastbone, or if it's just easier for you to tap with your wrist, that's also an option. Now, all of these meridians do actually correlate with a part of the body as well. So like organs in your body, like your bladder, your kidneys. I will send something out just in the interest of time that shares what all of these meridians correlate to in terms of your body parts. But just know that this has a powerful enough, this is powerful enough basically to be used for physical ailments. So like if you have a headache, if you're feeling exhausted, sadness, or for eliminating stuck states like feeling stress, any limiting beliefs that are coming up, we're going to use this to move the energy through the body. It's non-invasive. It can be used anytime, anywhere, which is the beauty of it. And it prevents the suppression of our feelings, right? So when we are overwhelmed, anxious, full of anxiety, sometimes we suppress those emotions and then they show up or they manifest in different ways, like health crises, or lead to stress states or burnout. So we want to be able to move through those negative emotions together. Okay. So with this, we are actually sending calming signals to a part of our brain that also serves to calm our vagus nerve, as I mentioned before. And when we are in a state of stress, our bodies are often needing the feeling of safety because we feel like things are out of control or we fear the unknown. So that's when your sympathetic, your nervous system is taking over. And so when we tap, this helps us repattern and rewire that system. But it's also going beyond talk therapy, because there is the element of just going and speaking to someone, but there's also the element of showing yourself and your body that you are in a safe space by tapping, and also affirming that out loud, which is what we'll be doing. So just helping to break the pattern of what's happening in our brains. Take a sip of water here. Okay, so we're going to tap together on stress and overwhelm because that is the theme obviously today. However, you can use this, like I said, with any sort of feeling that's coming up for you or emotion. What we do is we have 3 rounds. We have the negative round, and there's no there's no right way to do this. If you're tapping through all of the meridians and saying exactly how you are feeling in the moment, that is the most important piece. So round 1 is addressing the negative, how we are exactly feeling in this moment, no filter necessary. We're just tapping through and saying exactly how we're feeling. Round 2 is how we would like to feel instead. And then round 3 is a positive or affirmative present tense emotion that we would like to feel. So let me just, sorry guys, I'm just moving over all of your boxes here. Okay, so we start with a setup phrase, and this is what we say on the karate chop point. And the phrase goes, even though I feel blank, whatever it is that you feel, I love and accept myself. Okay, so we start there with that round 1, 2, and 3 with that phrase. Now, the first thing that I want you to do is to rate your level. So think of a situation right now that's very stressful for you, that's overwhelming. And I want you to rate how you feel from 0 to 10, with 10 being the most intense, right before we get started. Okay, so think of a specific situation that you're dealing with. You know, maybe it's something in your business, maybe it's something at work, maybe it's home life. We're going to go through, we're going to rate how we're feeling from 0 to 10. We're going to go through round 1, rate how we're feeling. Round 2, rate how we're feeling. Round 3, and we should be coming lower and lower as we go through that sequence of tapping. So I have an actual script that I've created. It's more of a general script, just so that, just based on the topic and theme. If this was you doing it, you would just be able to sit there and kind of go through and tap exactly how you're feeling, how you want to feel, and how you would like to feel presently. But for the interest of this and time-wise, I'm going to just pull up my script here. I'm going to stop sharing for a second just so I can see everybody. And if you'd like, you can come off camera and you can stay muted. That's totally fine. What you're going to do is just repeat after me and actually engage in the tapping sequence. Now you can close your eyes if that's easier for you, and usually it helps you get more into the state. And I'll be saying what body part I'm on anyway, so you'll be able to know where we're at, okay? So are we ready? Everyone good to go? Get in a comfortable position. We're going to start with our karate chop point. One second. Sorry, I'm just trying to move you guys on my screen so I can see both of you. There we go. Okay, so starting with the karate chop here. I'm just taking a nice deep breath and giving yourself a rating from 0 to 10 and how you're feeling right now. So you can repeat after me out loud. Everyone's on mute, so we're all good. Okay, so even though I feel stressed, I love and accept myself. And even though I feel overwhelmed, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel stress in my body, I love and accept myself. Top of your head. Stress affects my day-to-day motivation. Above your eyebrow. Feeling stress and overwhelm makes me doubt myself. Side eye. I'm worried about all the things on my plate right now. Under eye. I feel like I've lost a sense of control. Under your nose. This stress prevents me from performing well. Chin, I need to release these feelings of exhaustion. Collarbone, I can never get everything done on my to-do list. Underarm, I feel weighed down and under pressure. I feel like I can't take a break. Good. Taking a nice deep breath. Good. And we're going to go into the neutral round. So back to your hand. Even though I feel this stress, I remind myself I'm in control. And even though I feel this pressure, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel tightness in my head, chest, and stomach, I love and accept myself. I need to remember to listen to my body. Eyebrow. It's possible to make time for myself each day. Side eye. I'm doing the best I can given my circumstances. Underneath your eye, I can choose to release the stress. I can choose to release emotions that don't serve me. Good. Under your nose, I can bring back balance and ease into my life. Chin, I choose to rest when I feel like things are too much. Collarbone, I unsubscribe to burnout. Underarm, I'm choosing to let go of any anxiety today. Good, and taking a nice deep breath. Okay, and we're going to our last rounds, back to the karate chop. Even though I felt overwhelmed, I love and accept myself. Even though I push myself, I love and accept myself. Top of your head, I'm balanced and at peace. Eyebrow, I have tools to support my mental wealth. Side eye, I choose to love myself no matter how I'm feeling. Under your eye, I'm capable of transforming my mood at any time. Under your nose, I learn new ways to support my nervous system. Your chin, I'm in full control of my emotions. I choose to stay calm and grounded. Good. And even though I used to feel stressed and anxious, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Amazing. Just taking a nice another deep breath here. And you might feel like you want to yawn, or your body might feel tingly. It's just everything moving around after tapping. And just take a minute to rate yourself from 0 to 10. So where you were at versus where you're at now in terms of the intensity of any of the emotion that you were feeling or that situation that came up for you. And just give yourself a rating. Okay. And if we want to just drop in the chat how we're feeling after that. How are we feeling? Okay, I was at a 3 feeling like a 6 now. I feel the release of tension, a bit more grounded, amazing. Yeah, and that's just a simple way to move you through what you're feeling. My shoulders feel more relaxed. Yeah, just like let it all out, like shake everything up. Yeah, we'll often feel a little bit tired, a little bit more calmer, neutral state, which is all a good thing. I feel the release of a headache. Amazing. Yes. It really does help for headaches. I often use this in the morning when I have a headache, and sometimes it'll come back, but you just can kind of tap through and shift all the energy around in your body and get rid of that intensity sometimes. Amazing. Okay. Well, that was, would it be possible for you to copy the script you just, yeah, absolutely. I can send that over for sure. Yeah, sometimes it's easy to have like the script there, but like I said, you can be saying anything, right? Like that is coming up for you. Like sometimes in the morning, it's like, I feel like crap today. Like all the things that are, all the emotions, like you really have to be honest with yourself because that's how you move from that more negative to a neutral state. And it's not going to be a 180 sometimes, right? Sometimes it's going to take some time. The other option as well is to actually do that positive round 3 state a second time if you feel like you need it again, and just reiterating things that you want to feel instead or how you would like to feel presently. But that is the last technique that we have there. So I'd love to hear if you guys we have a few minutes, just 5 minutes or so. If you have any feedback, key takeaways, any breakthrough moments that you had while experiencing that, I would love to hear it. I can kind of come off. Yep, Patrice.
Thanks, Brittany. That was amazing. Again, it's that constant reminder, right? Like even the ones that you said, it's not rocket science. It's just that constant reminder that you're in control. Here are the ways you can control it. But I'm curious because I've also heard, and I know people practice this, is where they have the rooms where you lock yourself in and you break stuff or you scream. I mean, where does that fall in with regards? Is that like a change of state? Is that what it is? And then it releases endorphins or whatever?
Yeah, I would say, like, I'm not 100% sure, but I would say that, like, again, we suppress a lot of how we're feeling. And so in those states where we can just, bash things, like in that room, in the room where we break things, it's kind of that emotional release. It's just not, people do it in different ways in terms of suppressing their emotions and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would say it's just a release of, like, even your voice, like screaming. Sometimes that comes into play with like communication, not feeling heard. There's kind of like that underlying tone of other things that, like, limiting beliefs and that sort of thing that are coming up. So that is almost like a physical, somatic release in your body that's helping you regulate. It's a good question though.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, I'll send the script. And otherwise, I thank you guys so much for being here and spending your time with me. I know it was a little different than probably, learning about marketing strategies and all the other business branding and all of that, which is so important too. But this is also an element which is great for just balance and ease. And so if you have any questions, my information is there on the screen here and ways to contact me. And then I'll send over all the scripts, as well as the body parts that are connected to EFT tapping and how they can support you. But thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And I just, so everyone knows, I've just put in the hashtag. So like I said, you want to share about your experience so far, you want to share about Brittany, what she just shared with you and the experience you had. It helps Brittany, it helps us, it helps you, because it's showcasing that you're keeping, there's a great saying, keep, your edge sharp. You're getting fresh content, you're creating in our programs, and at BACD, we often encourage our clients to keep an open mind, stay sharp, and work on your business as well as in your business, because sometimes the overwhelming is you going in the in. So sometimes you have to step back and work on the business, and that includes yourself. So this is a great great practice. And I thank you so much, Brittany. Knowing full circle. I love it. I love it. So I put in a link to our YouTube channel so that Brittany has given us permission to share this on the channels. So if you ever need to go back to it and experience that experience with that she led us through again, you can also look at it that way. So thanks everyone. I hope you will make it to a next one. I'm just going to stop the recording.